Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today we are conducting a forensic audit of a football season that, quite frankly, looks like a glitch in the simulation.
It really does.
We are heading down to South Florida to unpack the Miami Hurricanes 2025-26 campaign.
It's a fascinating case study, honestly.
And I use that word audit very intentionally because we have this massive stack of research here. Play-by-play logs, efficiency metrics, red zone audits.
Mm-hmm.
And it all suggests that the final record of 10-2 is actually, well, it's lying.
Or at least it's not telling the whole story, not even close.
Right.
If you just glance at the standings on your phone, you see 10-2, solid season, good bowl game, and you just move on.
Yeah, exactly.
But when you actually open up the hood and you look at the differential data, this wasn't just a good team. This was a statistical monster that just, occasionally tripped over its own feet.
The number that jumped out at me immediately, and I know we texted about this, was the point differential. I mean, you see lopsided scores in college football, sure.
All the time.
Usually when a powerhouse plays some warm-up game in week 1. But this is over a full 12-game regular season slate. Miami outscored their opponents 409 to 166.
Just do the math on that for a second. Per game. That is a plus 243 differential.
It's insane.
It breaks down to an average margin of victory of roughly 34 to 14.
So they're beating teams by 3 touchdowns. On average.
Every single week. That is suffocating.
Exactly. And that really sets the stage for our mission today. We are not just recapping the wins and losses. We want to understand how Miami achieved this level of dominance.
Right. What's the machinery behind the final score?
We've got the full 12-game slate here, from that opener against Notre Dame all the way to the finale at Pitt. We've got individual player audits, situational stats, and we even have this very strange anomaly involving a 300-pound lineman finding the end zone.
We absolutely have to get to the big man TD later. It is my favorite stat of the entire year.
It's definitely mine. But before we get to the fun stuff, you flagged something in the research you called the sack gap. You said it was the defining metric of the year.
It is the skeleton key for this entire season. I mean it. If you understand the sack gap, you understand why Miami won 10 games, and ironically, you also kind of understand why they lost 2.
Okay.
But to get there, we have to start with the offensive engine. We have to talk about the guy pulling the trigger.
Let's do it. Let's jump into segment 1, the offensive engine. This one's called Controlled Chaos, and we're talking about Carson Beck.
We are. And looking at the raw totals, Beck had a massive year. 3,072 passing yards, 25 touchdowns. Those are all conference numbers. Easy.
It's a great resume on paper.
Yeah.
But you mentioned in the pre-show notes that the volume isn't really what impressed you.
It isn't, no. It's the efficiency relative to that volume. He completed 263 of 352 passes.
Okay, so what does that work out to?
That puts him right around a 75% completion rate.
Which is high, obviously, but is it? Is it historic?
Well, here's the thing. In the modern game, you see guys hit 75%. Sure, but it's usually when they're just throwing bubble screens and quick slant, what we call extension of the run game pass.
Right, short, easy stuff.
Exactly. Low risk. But Beck was pushing the ball downfield. To maintain a 75% completion rate on over 350 attempts, that is incredibly rare.
So what does that tell you?
It implies 2 things. 1, the scheme was just creating these wide-open windows for him. And 2, Beck's processing speed was elite. He knew where to go with the ball before the snap even happened.
So, okay, if he's that efficient and the numbers are that clean, we have to address the elephant in the room. Or maybe the cardinal in the room?
The Louisville game, October 17th?
Yep. This is the glaring blemish on the whole season.
Yeah.
A 21-24 loss. And when I looked at Beck's stat line for this specific game, I honestly thought it was a typo in our spreadsheet.
It wasn't. It's the anomaly that proves the rule.
That's how it happened.
In that single game, Carson Beck threw 4 interceptions.
4. And he only threw, wait, how many all season?
He only threw 10 all season.
So you're telling me 40% of his entire season's turnover production
happened in one afternoon, in a single 3-hour window against Louisville. Just gone.
So if you're a Miami fan, looking at this data, is that comforting or is that just incredibly frustrating?
I think it's actually clarifying.
How so?
This game serves as a perfect control group for the whole season. Science requires a control group, right?
Right.
Well, that game showed us that the Miami system is virtually unbeatable unless the quarterback completely, totally implodes.
Okay.
When Beck is efficient, which he was in 11 out of 12 games, Miami dominates. When he turns the ball over 4 times, they become mortal. And even then, They lost by 3 points in a game where they gave the ball away 4 times.
That is a wild perspective. They played their absolute worst possible game statistically, and they still almost won.
Exactly. But let's flip back to the highs, because when that machine was working, it was just dizzying. Look at the Florida State game.
Yeah, high-pressure rivalry game on the road.
Beck throws 4 touchdowns. Virginia Tech, 4 touchdowns.
And the South Florida game back on September 13th, 371 passing yards. He was just slinging it all over the place.
And he wasn't doing it alone. We have to talk about who was catching these passes, because the distribution of wealth here is really fascinating.
The weapons. It feels like they had a clear alpha, though. Malachi Toney.
Toney is the engine, no question. 84 catches, 970 yards, 7 touchdowns. He was nearly a 1,000-yard receiver.
Nearly.
But what stands out in the all-purpose data column is that he wasn't just a receiver.
I see that. He's got punt return yards here. 187 of them.
Right. And even some rushing stats. He averaged over 100 all-purpose yards per game. He was the guy they looked for whenever they needed a spark. But the thing about a true to WR1 is gravity. He pulls the defense toward him.
Which leaves everybody else in single coverage.
Exactly. And that brings us to the supporting cast. Keelan Marion had over 500 yards. And then you have C.J. Daniels.
I was looking at Daniels' numbers. 391 yards. It's solid, but 7 touchdowns. That number just jumps off the page.
C.J. Daniels is a really interesting case study in what we call red zone value. Look at his catch count compared to his touchdowns. He only had 35 catches all year.
Wait, hold on. So he tied Toney for the team lead in TDs with less than half the catches.
Precisely. That tells you everything you need to know. When Miami got inside the 20-yard line, Carson Beck was looking for C.J. Daniels. He's the finisher. It's about trust. In those tight windows, Daniels was the guy.
And we can't ignore the ground game either. I feel like in modern football, everyone just focuses on the air raid. But Miami ran the ball really effectively.
They did. And they did it with a classic thunder and lightning approach, though maybe it was more like thunder and thunder. Mark Fletcher Jr. was the workhorse. 685 yards and 10 touchdowns.
10 touchdowns on the ground.
And then you had Sharmar Brown coming in as the closer with another 5 touchdowns.
So a lot of production there.
But here's the macro stat that really matters. Miami rushed for 1,800 yards total. Their opponents rushed for 1,042.
Wow, that is almost double. Not quite, but it's a huge difference.
And now look at the per carry average. This is the key. Miami, 4.2 yards per carry. Solid efficient.
Okay.
Opponents, 2.9 yards per carry.
So they held teams under 3 yards a carry.
Yes. And we'll get to the defense in a second, but that offensive rushing stat means Miami controlled the line of scrimmage. They stayed ahead of the chains. When you run for 4.2 yards, you're in 2nd and 6. When you run for 2.9, you're in 2nd and 8. That changes the entire playbook for both teams.
It really does. It lets your offensive coordinator stay aggressive.
Yeah.
Okay, let's pivot. Let's go to the other side of the ball. Segment 2, the iron wall. You teased this earlier. The sack gap.
This is statistically the most lopsided metric of the entire season. I want you to look at the sacks byline in the team defensive statistics.
Okay, looking at it now. Miami defense, 34 sacks for 269 yards lost.
34. Now look at the opponent's line. How many times did they get to Carson Beck?
Opponents, 11 sacks.
34 to 11.
That is a 3-to-1 ratio.
It's immense. It's the tale of two pockets. Carson Beck was playing football in a luxury suite. He could sit back, survey the field, make those 75% completion throws we talked about.
Right.
Opposing quarterbacks, they were playing in a burning building.
And nothing illustrates that better than the Syracuse game on November 8th. I'm looking at this box score. Did they really call this a sack party?
It was a demolition, a complete demolition. Miami recorded 7 sacks in that single game.
7.
7 sacks. And look at the result on the scoreboard. Syracuse scored 10 points. They only ran 57 total plays. You physically cannot sustain an offense when you are moving backwards 7 times a game.
No chance.
It kills morale, it kills drives, and it absolutely kills the game plan.
And it wasn't just one superstar doing it, right?
Yeah.
I'm looking at the individual defensive stats here. It seems like a committee of chaos.
It was a swarm. You had Akheem Mesidor, he was the main wrecker, 12 tackles for loss, 7 sacks. He was just living in the backfield.
But then you have Ahmad Moten right behind him on the sheet.
7.5 tackles for loss, 4.5 sacks.
And Rueben Bain Jr.
The exact same numbers, 7.5 TFLs, 4.5 sacks. When you have 3 different guys producing that kind of consistent pressure, the offensive line can't slide protection. You can't double team everyone. Someone is going to come free.
And when the quarterback is running for his life, he makes mistakes. Which I'm guessing leads us straight to the turnover battle.
The no-fly zone. The defense snagged 12 interceptions. Jacoby Thomas had 4 of them himself, including a huge 60-yard return.
Wow.
But the stat that really shows the true dominance is the pass efficiency rating.
Okay, let's unpack that one for the listeners.
So Miami's passer rating as an offense was 165.5. That's elite. Opponents, 113.4.
That is a massive gap.
It is. And it all connects back to that run defense we touched on earlier. Opponents averaged 2.9 yards per rush. If you can't run the ball, you have to pass.
And if you have to pass.
And Miami knows you have to pass, then Akheem Mesidor and Rueben Bain Jr. can just pin their ears back and hunt.
It's a vicious cycle for the offense.
It is. You make them one-dimensional, and then you just crush that one dimension.
So we see the stats. We see the dominance on paper. But stats don't exist in a vacuum. They happen in big moments and big games. Let's move to segment 3, the season narrative, because this season had some serious emotional peaks and valleys.
It absolutely did. And you have to start with the rivalry gauntlet.
Florida and Florida State. I mean,
Right.
in this state, if you win those 2 games, the season is a success almost regardless of what else happens. And they started with Florida on September 20th.
A 26-7 drubbing. Just a complete beatdown.
I'm looking at the box score for this Florida game. Is this right? 141 total yards of offense for Florida.
141 yards. In a full 60-minute game, Florida only had 7 first downs the entire game.
7 first downs. That is almost hard to do in modern football. You can get 7 first downs by accident sometimes from penalties.
It's total asphyxiation. Miami held the ball for 36.5 minutes. Florida they never got off the bus. The defense wouldn't let them breathe for a second.
But then, a couple of weeks later, October 4th, they go to Tallahassee. Florida State, this one was a lot tighter, 28-22.
This was a totally different kind of win. This wasn't a domination. It was about survival. Look at the penalties.
Yeah, 13 penalties for 114 yards.
Discipline was a major, major issue that night. They were just giving away free yardage left and right. But, and this goes right back to our quarterback discussion, who stepped up when they needed it?
Carson Beck, 4 touchdowns.
In a hostile environment, on the road, with his team playing sloppy football around him, the quarterback delivered. That's what you call a culture win. It's about winning ugly.
But then we have to talk about the heartbreak. The SMU game, November 1st. The only loss other than Louisville.
And this one, I think this one hurts more than Louisville in a way because the stats just scream that Miami should have won this game.
It went to overtime. Final score 20-26.
But look at the yardage. Miami outgained SMU 433 to 388.
They had more yards.
Significantly more yards. They had a massive punt return, that 47-yarder from Malachi Toney. They moved the ball up and down the field, but turnovers again, 2 interceptions, and red zone failures. We'll talk in a minute about how good they were in the red zone usually, but in this game, they just stalled out.
So a different kind of loss.
It's the game that proved that you can dominate the box score, you can have more yards, you can have more explosive plays, but if you lose the situational battle turnovers and red zone execution, you lose the game. Simple as that.
It's a reality check.
Yeah.
But what I love about this narrative, looking at the schedule, is the response. We'd lose a heartbreaker like that in OT.
Yeah.
The season could just crumble right there.
It absolutely could. It's November. You're tired, you're beat up, you just lost a game you felt you deserved to win. But look at what happened in the next 3 weeks.
Syracuse, NC State, and Virginia Tech.
They outscored those 3 opponents by a combined score of 113 to 34.
That is an angry response.
It is. They didn't just win. They vented their frustration on the rest of the ACC. And then the finale at Pitt, 38 to 7. A complete demolition on the road to seal that 10-win season.
Just absolutely clinical. Okay, so we've looked at the big picture. Now I want to get granular. Let's go to segment 4. Situational masters. These are the hidden stats that maybe don't make the Sports Center highlights, but they're the ones that win championships.
And the biggest one, by far, is red zone efficiency.
We mentioned it briefly with the SMU game, but looking at the season totals, I mean, this is absurd.
Miami entered the red zone 52 times. They came away with scores 48 of those times.
92%.
92%. That is just elite, top-tier efficiency. When they got close, they put points on the board. But here's the comparison that really blows my mind. Look at how many times their opponents got into the red zone.
Okay, 25 times.
In 12 games.
So about twice a game.
Opponents only sniffed the red zone an average of 2 times per game.
That is the iron wall defense again.
Exactly. Miami didn't just finish their own drives. They prevented opponents from even starting the conversation about scoring.
And part of keeping teams out of the red zone is getting off the field on third down.
Third down money. Miami converted 47% of their third downs. That keeps drives alive. It keeps your defense resting on the bench.
And the opponents.
They converted only 30%.
So Miami extends drives, and opponents go 3 and out.
And that connects directly to time of possession. Miami held the ball for nearly 34 minutes per game. Opponents had it for 26.
8-minute difference.
It's an accumulative effect. It's a body blow. By the fourth quarter, the opposing defense is just exhausted because they've been on the field all day.
Which explains why Miami was able to blow teams out late in games.
Uh-huh.
But okay, we promised it in the intro. We have to talk about the most fun stat in this entire PDF.
It's time. The Francis Mauigoa moment.
I'm looking at the rushing stats. You see Fletcher, you see Brown, you see the receivers, and then you see jersey number 61, Francis Mauigoa, listed as a starter.
And what's his stat line?
1 game with a rushing stat, 1 carry, 3 yards, 1 touchdown.
The big man TD, it's the best play in football, bar none.
I just love visualizing that. We're talking about a massive offensive lineman getting the ball in the red zone and just bulldozing his way into the end zone.
It highlights something important, though. Beyond just the fun of it, it highlights creativity. When you are in the red zone and you have that kind of efficiency, that 92%, it means the coaching staff is willing to do whatever it takes.
Good point.
They aren't rigid. If giving the ball to the lineman gets us 6 points, then guess what? We're giving the ball to the lineman.
Absolutely. And before we wrap up the stats, we have to give a quick nod to the unsung heroes, special teams.
Reliability is the word here. In those close games, like the Notre Dame opener, which was 27-24, you absolutely need a kicker you can trust. Carter Davis.
14 of 16 on field goals, and he was perfect on PAs.
He was automatic. And don't overlook Dylan Joyce, the punter.
I see here he averaged 44.4 yards per punt.
Which is excellent. But look at his long for the season, 73 yards against SMU.
A 73-yard punt. That flips the field entirely.
In a game where the offense was struggling, where they were turning it over, he booms a 73-yarder to bail them out. That is a weapon. You know, special teams isn't sexy until you lose a game because of it. Miami did not have that problem.
So let's zoom out here. We've dissected the offense, the defense, the anomalies, and the big man touchdowns. What does this all mean when you put it all together?
I think we are looking at a 10-2 season that was defined by an explosive, efficient passing attack, a suffocating run defense, and truly elite quarterback protection.
And really the losses, Louisville and SMU.
They were self-inflicted, totally.
Exactly. They weren't physically overpowered. They weren't out-schemed. They turned the ball over.
Which is both frustrating if you're a fan, but it's also encouraging. It means the talent is there to beat anyone in the country.
So here is my final thought for you to chew on, and for our listeners as well. I keep thinking about that Louisville anomaly.
Yeah.
If you remove that one bad day from Carson Beck, that 4-interception disaster, is this statistically one of the best Miami teams in decades?
I think it is. I really do. The point differential, the sack numbers, the third down efficiency, it's all championship caliber. And I'll leave you with this question. Looking at that Syracuse game where they got 7 sacks, does this pass rush actually have a ceiling? Because if they can generate pressure like that consistently, they can play with anyone in the country. Anyone.
That is a scary thought for the rest of the ACC. Thank you all for joining us on this deep dive into the numbers behind the U.
It was a blast.
And if you want to see tree dominance in action, go check the box scores for that Florida and FSU games. Just look at the defensive stats. We'll catch you on the next deep dive.